Actually, the easiest way of decorating a home now is to maintain a white background. If you have a white wall, and then that gives you an opportunity to decorate your space and change the look of your space as often as you want.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to African Real Estate TV, where we speak all things real estate. Today, we have an interior designer. He is going to share with us insights, tips, and tricks. And I'm so excited to have you here. Caribusana, Walter.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Please introduce yourself.
My name is Walter Mbaka. I'm an interior designer and the founder of Design Point Interiors.
How long have you been having your company?
My company was officially registered in 2015. So that's about 8 years.
Wow.
But before that, I was a freelancer for 2 years.
Oh,
So I
wow.
can say about 10 years practicing. I had another 2 years in employment. So it should be a total of around 12, 13 years in the industry.
Wow, that's a pretty long time. You have worked in Kenya the whole time?
Yeah, of course, I've done project within East Africa, mainly Kenya and Tanzania. But I can say 95% of the projects that we've done are in Kenya.
Nice. So you have been in the industry for about 13 years. That's a pretty long time to see all the trends come in and go.
Yeah.
And so can you just share with us, before we get into the nitty-gritties of the industry, what inspired you to get into the industry? I'm thinking 13 years ago, interior design was not really embraced as much as it is right now. So what really inspired you to get into that field?
I can say it was quite natural for me. I ended up in interior design at the point where I was selecting my courses for university after high school.
Nice.
And in high school, I had also taken up the technical drawing. I can say from when I was young, I used to draw. I used to do a lot of art in our house. I used to decorate the walls. I could actually, I could draw like a whole football team on one page. Yeah, I could frame them and hang them, drawing elephants. So I think I had the talent as an artist, but I didn't know that at the young age you couldn't tell that there wasn't an industry called it wasn't even known by most parents. So when I got to, after completing high school, and then I had the option of selecting my courses for university, then when I saw interior design, it was a no-brainer for me. I just said, this is what I want to do. So I selected the course. I went to Maseno University. That was, I think, in 2006. I went through the 4 years, attained my degree in 2010 and graduated. And I can say this is what I'm doing is just fun. It's like a hobby. I actually don't feel like I'm straining or I'm working. Yeah, it is a hobby. I enjoy seeing spaces transform. I enjoy people loving the spaces they live in or they use. And that's how I ended up in interior design. And then after graduating, I knew that I wanted to run my own company. I needed to make a difference. I believed that I'd gotten enough skills. And of course, I had to get into employment for some time. And actually, during our time, we graduated we were about 8 in our class. Eight. So it wasn't a course that was well known by most people. It was an upcoming industry. So and now I hear the same university, they're admitting more than 60 students
Amazing. That's progress.
I haven't confirmed the current situation, but I think 2 years ago they were about 60. So you can see between 8 and 60. That's more than triple.
That's true.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the industry has grown.
So compared to when you got into the industry, that was 13 years ago. And right now, would you say, of course, there is a difference, but can you just explain to us the landscape and how there has been changes and what you saw then that is not here now?
There's a huge difference between when we started in the industry and now, because when you look at the interior design companies that have come up, I mean, there are so many, and also they've grown due to the social media era that caught up. Yeah, around that time, from around that 2010, 2015. So it's easier for even people to market, and the business and the industry is actually well known now. There are so many companies. There were few huge companies at that time. You could actually count them even when looking for attachment. you could actually know there weren't many actually. In some towns like Kisumu, I think there was one at that time. So there's a big change. There's a lot of awareness. More people are studying interior design. More people are embracing the importance of an interior designer, of using an interior designer, especially home owners. It's a totally different. I couldn't have imagined that it gets this way, but I knew as long as people are building and people are building in homes, definitely they are going to need our services sooner or later.
That is true. Yeah. We keep saying interior design. What does that mean?
Now, interior design is, I can call it an art or a science, both an art and a science of enhancing interior spaces so that you can protect or improve the well-being of the users of that space, improve the functionality, and ultimately make the spaces beautiful. And that is a process. It's actually a process, not an event. It entails many aspects and elements of design.
Wow. So now that we know what that means, when you get a project, how do you go about it? And do you specifically just work with homes, or you are as extensive can be?
I can say we are versatile. We do majorly residential and office fit outs, but our portfolio has over time involved a lot of residential interiors. So, you know, there are more homes than offices.
That is definite, because people have to live somewhere. People have to live somewhere, and the population is increasing over time, so it's expected.
Yeah. So we've done more in our portfolio. You can find a lot of residential interiors. That's what we do. It holds a larger percentage in our portfolio. Though we've done, we regularly also do office fit outs and commercial spaces, even salons. So assuming you are a homeowner, you'll find that you fall into two categories. You are either building a new home or you're renovating an existing home. So if you're building a new home, we advise that you engage your interior designer from the point of the architectural drawings. Because you find that most architects sometimes they overlook. It's not their fault, but sometimes they are not conscious of the impact in terms of what they provide for the spaces and what ultimately the interior designer will end up proposing to the same space. So if you involve us from the architectural stage, we also sit with the architects. We first of all we want to find out what is your vision for this space. Like, what's your dream in your own plain words? What would you like the space to look like? What is your inspiration? Sometimes we go as far as with this internet, you'll find if someone is building, they have a collection, like a vision board of the different spaces that they have in their home.
Yes, Pinterest.
Pinterest. Yeah, so we share a lot of links, and then we are able to dig deeper and actually get to understand. It's more psychological. We get to understand exactly what's the vision of this client. What does this client want to achieve ultimately? Once we understand that, then our job is to raise that to the highest standards of interior design, so that the client can achieve their vision in the best way possible. So once we have a criteria of what this client wants, now we professionally look at the elements and principles that will help us achieve the client's vision. And then now we move to designing this space and reflecting it in what we call as most people call 3Ds, renders, that will show the client how the house will look like at the end before it's actually done. So at that point, you're able to present to the client the look of the space. It's like a virtual reality of what the space will look like, so that they're able to visualize. Because clients are laymen and interior design, so the same way the way I visualize is not the same way that I'll expect the client to visualize. So I have to show them what the space will look like in the end. So then we do presentations. There could be changes, enhancements. We take into account that until now the client says, yeah, this is it. And then we move to the implementation phase. Now, whereby if it's, for example, kitchen, now you have a contract of implementation, or if they want to use another supplier, but most of the time we design and do the implementation. So we move to implementation phase, and then we finish up the project and hand over to the client. Most of the clients that approach an interior designer, most of the time you find that they've done some research. They have some sort of what they want, but they want it at the highest level, achieved it to the highest level, like enhanced.
Yeah.
So those are the people that you find that understand the need for an interior designer. Some of them could be looking for an interior designer because there are so many different options on the table in terms of what their home could look like. And they're not sure, and they're looking for guidance as to how they can navigate this process. This is a personality thing. When it comes to that, then we pose questions. You could get different themes of projects, of designs, and you could pose a question among these three. What do you think? What do you like more? Or what don't you like? From there, it will be easier as an interior designer. That's why the most critical part of an interior designer is to be able to actually understand what the client's vision, what their tastes and preferences are, because every person is different. Every client is unique. And definitely they have preferences. They'll not just go for anything. So if they don't know, we give them options. From there, then we can tell this is it's over time. It's easy for someone like me to be able to identify the personality of the client we're working with. Because if you don't do that, then you are likely to fail in that process, because you'll end up doing something that the client
they may not
doesn't,
like.
they may not like. It's not, it doesn't reflect their personality. And your job, because that's a personal space, it needs to reflect the client's personality, not your personality.
Sure.
The space belongs to the homeowner, to the client, to the user of that space. That you have to understand as an interior design. And your success will be measured on how best you've reflected their personality and you've elevated that in the highest standards possible as an interior designer.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you work with clients, what is something that you look for as an interior designer?
When we get a client, most of the clients that we serve, one, they don't have a lot of time to move around and be able to do all these things. So remember, there's material selection, there's site management. You'll find that these clients don't have the time to move around shops to source for items.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll find that a single project will have a multiple different types of materials to be able to consider for that project. So it's your role as an interior designer to be able to crystallize all this and interpret it in simple ways to enable the client to make easy choices. So one, we target clients that our target clients are mostly clients that need someone trusted to be able to handle their project, someone that will be able to understand them, and they can rest assured that this person is understood, we're on the same page, and we can be able to actually implement and get done what their vision is. Also, there's usually an issue of budget, which is relative sometimes. It may be a barrier to achieving the best that space can look like. That's another challenge that we could find, but I think increasingly most clients that come to us, they know the value of interior design, and they're able to spend on our services. So I'd say the clients we're looking for are clients that appreciate the role of an interior designer first, because if they don't appreciate the role of the interior designer, they won't take what your proposals are seriously. Yeah.
I hear
and you
you.
won't be able to help them.
Yes, because then you will be on a push and pull of every detail that you need to and decision you need to make. Yeah. Speaking of challenges, what are other challenges that as an interior designer, especially in the Kenyan market, you have faced, and how have you been able to navigate them?
One of the challenges, of course, is the budget. You could have the right designs, you have everything ready in terms of the vision.
Yeah.
But then it comes to the budget, and you find that the budget sometimes, in some cases, you find the budget is lower than what is needed to be able to achieve that goal. Another challenge, of course, is you move into a space where you are involved as an interior designer, you are involved late in the stage of the house. Maybe the house is complete, it's already been plastered, and then you come in as an interior designer, you realize that as you're doing the space planning of the different spaces, as you crystallize the ideas, you find that the placements of some items, the electrical points, are not in sync with the with the dream of the client. And we get this every day, especially for kitchens, because you'll find the client wants inbuilt appliances, and most of the time you find that the sockets, switches, the placement is so awful. Then we have to start hacking the walls to move sockets around. Sometimes the bathrooms, you find the placement of the toilet and the shower and the wash and basins. The relation, the space management is so poor that it cannot enhance the well-being of the client.
Yeah.
So that's why, as I said earlier, it's important to involve your interior design from an earlier stage, because some of the things that are being done over time will affect how the final look comes out, and then you'll end up making changes, spending unnecessary spending, and consuming time to do some things that would have been done first time right.
Yeah. What I hear you say is if you are to incorporate the services of an interior designer, you have to bring them on board as early as possible, especially if you're building. But you said there are two categories, one who is building and one who's renovating. So how do you always handle the ones who are renovating?
Yeah, we've done a lot of call them makeovers, whereby we renovate and spruce up the spaces. Some require an overhaul, sometimes of the electricals and the plumbing points, because they're actually at the renovation projects are at different levels. There are some that want minimal change without affecting uh, structures or any of the structural points, the electricals and the plumbing. While some give you a blank slate and say whatever it takes, so long as it doesn't affect the structural integrity of the house, go ahead and do it, and go ahead and do it. So at the design stage, we actually have to inform the client. We have to take them through what it will take to be able to achieve whatever new design they want to achieve in the new home. And that is increasing. It happens after someone has lived in a house 10, 20 years, they feel like they need to give it a fresh look. And yeah, some of the things that needs to be done will be moving things around. If you're moving positions of appliances, or maybe the TV or whatever setup, they are definitely going to affect some of these things. Sometimes it involves opening up spaces, breaking walls, and by that you have to check whether they are load bearing or partition walls. So that is something the client is usually aware of, and they are most of the time happy that we go that direction.
You mentioned budget as one of the challenges that sometimes with some clients you face. So could you just share with us from your experience, what are some of the things that someone who may not really have the expense of getting an interior designer, what are some of the tips that they can use to enhance their spaces without using so much money?
Yeah, so some of the I'll say, is it low cost or cheaper options in terms of improving their spaces without spending a lot of money. For example, in an interior, say a living room, you want to improve the look of that room without maybe using gypsum ceiling, which is quite costly, or you don't want to, for example, if it's a floor, you don't want to use the wooden floors or mahogany, which is quite expensive.
Yeah.
So you look at options. For example, if it's a ceiling, you can make use of cornices. You can use moldings to decorate the ceiling. For the floors, instead of doing wooden floors, there are vinyl flooring that has come. People call them cake sometimes. It's a cheaper way of doing floor that imitates the wooden look that you wanted to do. There's also painting. You can repaint. Painting is not that expensive. You can repaint and change the colors of the space that you're living in. So changing a few things here and there can improve the space. Adding of mirrors to make the space look more classy and feel more special. Those are some of the tips that you look at when you want to use less funds or you're limited with budget and you want to spruce up your space.
So how do designers end up choosing the colors they use on the houses? How can someone blend them correctly if they're doing a DIY?
Okay, how you select color? Color is so, I can say it's so personal. And one thing I'll advise is don't have too many colors in one space. Less is more. You can maintain to maximum if you are doing maximum of 3, or go for neutral shades and then break it with one stronger color. If you're a person of bold colors, avoid having too many bold colors. You can maintain grays, they are safe, white backgrounds. Actually, the easiest way of decorating a home now is to maintain a white background. If you have a white wall, and then that gives you an opportunity to decorate your space and change the look of your space as often as you want with things like curtains, throw pillows, cushions, carpets, as opposed to you painting a deep color, a bold color on the walls, and that limits what you can bring into the space. If you wanted to change the colors seasonally, then that becomes limiting because you have every time to consider what your background looks like. Yeah.
And when you walk into houses that you haven't designed, what are some of the mistakes that you have seen people do that you get into a house and you cringe a little, like, don't do that?
Yeah, there's so many mistakes I've seen over the years. Sometimes bathroom arrangement, people underestimate the arrangement, the placement of a shower, placement of the toilet, and the wash and basin. You'll find a narrow bathroom, a long narrow bathroom. They have a toilet at the end, and in the middle they have a shower cubicle. So you have to like you get around the shower cubicle to go to the toilet, as opposed to having the shower at the end. If you have the window at the end, and then you have a shower cubicle which is glass, it will let in light anyway, and then have the toilet in between the shower and the wash and basin. And I can't make up how someone does that. Yeah, it's so yeah, it's disturbing when I see some of these mistakes. The other mistakes is the how they face the sequence of work. So you'll find that at home, when for example, designing space, if you're doing the floor, the ceiling, and the walls, and you find that someone has started with the floor, for example, doing the tiles before doing the ceiling. So the sequence should be you first start with the ceiling, then you
Then the
skim the
tile.
walls, before the wall, and then the tiles. When you start with the tiles, then you're putting the floor at risk of damage because of the works that have been going from the walls and the ceiling. Then you end up with damages on the floor. Then you have to again repair before. So some of these mistakes are quite costly when there's no proper planning in terms of the sequence while designing their home. Even in a new house, if the client, sometimes the client has different service providers for the different spaces. You find someone doing the floor, someone doing the windows, a different person doing the staircase, another person doing painting, a different person doing the ceiling, and a different contractor for the electricals, and another one for plumbing. So if there's no
it's a host
planning,
of people.
it's a big team. If there's no proper coordination, most of the time that happens. In most cases, there's no proper coordination. Everyone wants to finish their job and go without considering what the other providers are doing. So there needs to be one person coordinating. There has to be sequence. You have to follow the sequence. You cannot. That's why you find that you keep on redoing things because someone did their job, they left, and then someone came and did their job and affected the first person. That you are spending on redoing things, costing you money and time. And yeah, so the sequence of these things is you need to really, even if you are working on a budget and you're doing the job in phases, you need really to understand what comes first and what comes last. And that is why you need an interior designer to guide you or a project manager to be able to draw a working schedule and phase out the different works.
What was the most exciting project you've ever worked on?
Oh, that's a difficult one.
Why? You love all your projects the same?
Not the same, but they are all unique in their own way. And they are all different categories. They are full home renovations. Some are individual spaces like a kitchen. I've done so many good projects that I'm not sure I have a favorite. But the most, maybe I can say the most recent one that was a bit challenging that we did in a delivered a small kitchen. So the kitchen, dining room, and living room. And what was interesting is the client's versatility and the fact that she wanted to use red. She's a lover of red, but she didn't know how to bring in red into that space. That was the biggest challenge. So I loved how it panned out, how we kept changing. Actually, even from the initial design, what we ended up with was quite different from what we initially designed, because we kept engaging and looking at options. Sometimes we went for brown and white and red, but then she wanted the black, again black backsplash and still red. So the fact that that challenge was an exciting one, and I love how the red came out. It's a beautiful kitchen. We opened up our window to the dining. We also removed the door that was going to the connecting the kitchen and the dining, and how the stairs flowed into each other. She bought also red seats, high stools for the breakfast counter and the dining table. We also made a metallic dining table with a quartz top, the same quartz we used for the kitchen. I just love how it's a small project, but it was exciting to me every time I went there after the project. I loved the outcome. I'm not saying it's the best, but it's the most current I can remember that brought excitement to my face.
How long does it normally take you to finish a project? And I know it varies depending on the project. For example, that was a specific kitchen. But say if you're working on an entire house.
An entire house will take up to 2 months, 8 weeks, because most things you can't do concurrently. You have to finish the ceilings. As you do the skimming, you have to do the floor and then the final pay. It takes about 2 months to complete a full house interior design. That means from bathroom tiling, sanitary ware, the shower cubicle partitions, then the fittings, the kitchens, wardrobes, vanities, maybe library book shelving, and then you move to the ceilings, then to painting, all preparation, and then you move to the floors, there's the stairs and grills, curtain ropes. So I say it should be 2 months plus or minus 2 weeks, depending on the size of the house. But for a standard room, a standard kitchen, it usually takes about 2 weeks.
Okay. All right. Having been in the industry for the time that you have been, what do you think the future of interior design is?
The future of interior design is so dynamic. That is why, as an interior designer, at this moment, you need to be so versatile. It's not like in the 19th century or the times when you had specific designers and specific architects dictating the themes or the styles of interior design. Interior design is evolving at a very high rate, and the clients are now exposed. They have interacted with different styles of interior design, and you could get any, you could land yourself with any of the styles. You'll find a client who loves Victorian style. You'll find a person who's purely contemporary. You'll find a mix. So I think the future has no definite style of interior design. It's all about keep looking at what the clients are demanding, and keep adjusting, keep learning, and keep moving.
I hear you. With that future, do you, as it is right now, specifically for Kenya, does the government in any way support specifically, the real estate sector is the bigger umbrella, but when you narrow down to interior design, is there a way that the government is specifically supporting interior designers? And do you think there are any policies that should be put in place that would make your industry better?
I think the interior design industry also needs to be regulated. At the moment, I don't think there are barriers to entry for interior design. Unlike architects,
everyone can get in.
Everyone can get in and call themselves an interior, so long as they can get a fundi to do, or a technician to do a gypsum filling, and bring another fundi to do the painting, and bring another technician to do this and that. So interior design is more than that. It involves also safety of the environment and functionality, enhancing the functions of the different spaces. It's not just the place, just painting the color and all that. People underestimate the impact that interior design has in their lives. So, but I know there's something in the pipeline to be able to get a bill, to be able to regulate interior design, so that people can also, so that the industry can be regulated and people can be properly registered as professional interior designers. So I think if that happens, then the industry will have some sort of proper direction, accountability for those people practicing.
Yeah. Do you have an association?
Yeah, there's an association of interior designers. Of course, because there's no, the government hasn't recognized, because it has to be a bill, just like the architectural association can. The architectural association, they created a chapter for interior design as well. So I think there are steps to actually creating order in the industry. And I can see this good progress.
As we wind up, having entered the industry a couple of years ago and the struggles that you went through as a beginner and now as an expert in the industry, what advice would you give to someone who wants to pursue, interior designing professionally? Not the ones who wake up tomorrow and think, oh, I can do this thing. Those who want to put in the time and resources to ensure that they are as professional as it can be. What would you advise them on ensuring they grow to become as you are?
I think interior design, first, I think they need to be passionate about interior design. It can be hectic because you are dealing with different personalities. It's not going to be like a walk in the park. You're just going to go through projects and everything's new. You have to go through the challenges. So if you're an upcoming interior designer, just know that you have to work hard. That's number one. You have to be passionate. It's a highly it requires a lot of creativity and versatility because you're going to handle different types of people. So you need to learn the skill of understanding your clients, and you need to remember that that space doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the client. It's very important. And most people underestimate this because they go with the mentality that my style of design has to be like this. Not remembering that that space is going to be used by someone else. So you have to make this person comfortable. And as an interior designer, you have guiding principles and elements to help you achieve that. So number two is stay consistent. It's not a short-term thing. Some people get carried away by money. They want to just get rich and make money. Not remembering that money is a result of the value that you're putting on these clients. So make sure you build your skills and you're highly valuable. And if you want to make money, that's when the money will follow you because people are going to pay for the value that you're offering them. And it's a long-term game. It's not something you get to you and you succeed tomorrow. Even as it's work in progress, we keep working. We are trying to be abreast with the industry, with what is coming in, what are the trends, what people are looking at now, what people value in their spaces, and you have to keep researching for it to be relevant in the industry.
I love those. Finally, thank you again, Walter. Could you just tell us how people would be able to make contact with you should they want to reach out?
There are many forms of getting to me or to my company. One, you could make a phone call. The number is 0725 317 358. You could also send us an email on info@designpointinteriors.co.ke. Design is DEZINE. We are on all online platforms, almost all. I don't know, maybe there could be others that are
They
to
come
take.
up every day. They come up
They come
every
up
day.
every day.
They do
Yeah,
come up every day.
yeah. So the main ones, we are on YouTube, we are on Facebook as Design Point Interiors, we are on Instagram, on LinkedIn. So if you search that name on any of those platforms, you should be able to find us and send us a message. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Walter. This has
Thank
been
you.
fun. I have picked some things that I may work it out in my house. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for making the time for us. And I look forward to our next conversation when you have another next challenging project that you will have worked on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and I really appreciate it. And hope to see you soon in
Yes, I should actually visit one of your projects when you work on something. Well, I'll keep in touch, then we work on that.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.